The idea of the film came not to me as an author, but to the non-governmental organization that is called Svitoria, and they are dealing with issues connected to teachers. They actually try to advocate teachers' rights and to raise prestige of teachers' profession, so they are doing a lot for teachers. And when the full-scale invasion started, they collected a lot of different stories of teachers in school, how school actually met the invasion. They had it in text, like this archive of texts, and they came to our producer and said that they really interested to make something visual out of this text, for people maybe to know what happened to schools and to teachers. It was not a coincidence that our producer took this topic, because my first film that was released just months before the full-scale invasion, it was a fiction film, but it was connected to school. It was a coming-of-age drama. So our producer, Ola Bregman, she came to me and said, like, here's an idea to make a film about teachers, how they dealing with war right now. And I was curious because it's actually something familiar to me. Both of my parents are teachers in university. My grandfather was a teacher, and grandmother of, like the mother of my mother as well. She was the best in her village. I'm a teacher as well, documentary cinema basically in Kiev. So this is something I really like, and it's not a coincidence that, I mean, I'm working with this theme.
Останній деньочок. О, Юля, я вже тебе не тільки чую, я й бачу. Що там Голландія стоїть? Данька, давай, вмикай камеру.
So we started to dig into this text, read them, and then start to meet these people via Zoom. It was already 2023, 1 year past the beginning of the invasion, and the situation in the schools were actually different, because you can imagine that in the beginning everything was so chaotic and hectic, and the year in the war, it's a big year, it's like a large period of time, and everything really shifts a lot. So at that point, when we were talking to the protagonists, it was already different situations and different stories. So we decided to go and see how it looks like. And when we come to the first school, just to be there and to see the atmosphere, we completely fell in love with this observational kind of being there. We decided that we want to do like that. And it would be not just about teachers, it would be about the whole organism, the school, the kids, the teachers, everybody. And we really want to stay as invisible as possible, although we are not invisible. Even in the film, kids are reacting to our camera and to us, so we're there. But anyway, we really wanted to be without any interview, without comment, just here and now, just for people to see and maybe to feel how the school lives right now. Basically, to do such a film, you can go different ways. All of them are interesting. For example, one of the ways would be to be just present in one location, because actually one school can be like a prototype of any school. So we probably could pick one location and stay there for the whole year and to see everything and to see how it all evolves, you know, during all the year. But when we already pick this another way to do a mosaic structure of the film, so we really want to cover a big geography, and we really want to see different experiences, because when you move closer to the front line, the experience of being in school is different, obviously. And for me, it was interesting to see how. Because, for example, if we would stay only in Cherkasy, this school is, we may say, in relatively safe space. It's not safe, because nothing is safe in Ukraine. But if we stay in Cherkasy, it would be experience of some ordinary school, as you guys know. But if you go somewhere, for example, at Zaporizhia is the southern part of Ukraine, and this is the city that is really close to the front line. And that's why they have ballistic missile attacks and threats of that attacks constantly. If you go to Zaporizhia, it's like 5 times a day. You have this air alert, and that's why it's impossible for schools to function. They can function only in shelters or online at home. That's not safe as well for people that are staying at home, not going to shelters. But It's forbidden to be at school on a daily basis. That's why it's a completely different experience. Knowing that, we decided that we really want to cover the variety of these experiences.
5, 6, 7, полетіли, раз, 2, 3, 4.
Sometimes we came to school and stayed for one day. In some schools we spent maybe a couple of days and then returned. For example, in school in Cherkasy, we met girls from 11th grade that we really liked, and they become our protagonists. So that's why we stayed with them for more days and then returned to the exam of Oля Brăheneți, one of our protagonists, and then returned to this prom. But for some schools, we had these really tough trips, for example, to the south of Ukraine. And it was the 1 week trip where we were at Mykolaiv, in Charkiv, in Odessa, so a lot of different places, and we stayed in one school, for example, in one location per one day, and never returned there. We had really, really big camera set, and so it was Alexa Mini, and it's because of our cinematographer. He's basically a cinematographer from fiction films. It's quite heavy, and it's quite, you need to be well organized to shoot on that camera. That's why we really planned a lot ahead. If you make a film about war in Ukraine and how the war affects the school, you need to have air alert to see how it happened, how everybody goes to shelter, and it's not happening. Like 5th day, 6th day, it's not happening. And I already starts to be stressed because, obviously this is a situation that we need to wait for it, but we can't. And then it happened, the first time it happened in Cherkasy, in this scene where the biggest shelter, where like 1,000 kids there, and it's like this loud noise, the biggest one, and it was really spectacular. I might sound cynical a bit in terms of documentary, filmmaking, because, to be fascinated by things that are really kind of bad, because it's bad that kids should be in the shelters, obviously, but when you do the film, you have this irony on cynicism on doing it, on what you gather in as a material. When we were closer and closer to the front line, sometimes air alerts were constant. And it's on some level, it begins to be really annoying because it was really hard to shoot something else. We already shoot the basements like on a daily basis. I can show you actually how it looks like. We have this application that tells us about air alerts. It notifies us. You see the map of Ukraine, and you see that red districts are the districts that has air alert right now. For example, in the northern part of Kiev districts and Chernihiv districts is under the attack of Shahed drones. Sometimes it's all over Ukraine, all of Ukraine is red. For example, ballistic missiles are going, because we have some trajectories of them, but we can't be sure about the places that are targeted. So we have another channels, like informative channels, that tells us the trajectories of missiles, the kind of missiles that are going. It really helps us actually to be safe. And even when I'm abroad, I don't switch it off. Obviously, when we started to edit this film together with editor Nikon Romanchenko, he's actually not an editor, he's my partner and he's a director himself. So when we edit the film, obviously for us air alert began to be like a structural blocking instrument. That's why in the film we actually tried to place the air alert rhythmically, yes, to make some rhythm out of it, maybe. And maybe not to have them a lot. Sometimes we blend it to alert. It starts in one place and then it continues in another. It symbolizes for me this simultaneous experience that all people in Ukraine are having sometimes.
Дорогі випускники, шановні вчителі і батьки, ми зібралися сьогодні з нагоди особливого свята. Свята, якого немає в жодному календарі. На ньому зустрічаються білі розруки і світлі надії,
You know, graduation part is something that is really logically ends the school year. So when we were editing the film, we tried to think about this chronological part as well. We messed it a lot, but we really wanted to start it with the 1st of September, to have the new year somewhere in the middle, and to end it with a prom scene, with this graduation scene. In terms of this cinematographically, I like this contrast that is created by these two scenes being together, like online ceremony where we see this girl. She's finishing school, but the school doesn't exist anymore. The school is totally ruined, in totally ruined city, and she is already away from it, and everybody from the school away from it, because this city, Bakhmut, it's no more existing. It's just razed to the ground by Russian army. When the headmaster of the school brings this small bell, like a small one, and she's saying that this bell is evacuated from Bakhmut as well, like everybody else who's sitting in front of their computers at the moment in this Zoom ceremony. For me, it's like one of the most powerful things she could say at the moment, because when she starts ringing this bell, I'm crying each time when I see this scene, because it's something really painful. And after that, we see this like a fruitful and luxurious prom scene in this totally functioning school of Cherkasy. And anyway, it doesn't matter if your school is okay or it's totally ruined. If you're still alive in this country, you need to think how to move on and what to do next. And all these kids actually are doing it. It's not a weird thing why, for example, from Cherkasy we see a big group of girls. There's a big issue right now in Ukraine that boys are coming abroad while they can, before 18 years old, to not to be in the country of war, to kind of make up their mind before they got into 18. Because this young generation is really not a big one. It's statistically, demographically, it's not a big quantity of people, and it's really important to preserve them, actually. Sometimes you distinguish somebody from others. And in this particular event, Maryanka is the name of this girl, she was really crying, she was really stressed actually. I think she was stressed because she didn't have such experience, because it was crowded, because it was something where you need to be not together with your mother, and you know, it could be like a lot of different reasons why she cried, but actually we didn't know as well as filmmakers. And we decided to make her the protagonist of this story, because she was different. And it was really interesting to see how her mood was shifting during this event, because when the air alert started and the real threat came to the city, everybody was put into the shelter, and in the shelter, Maryanka was gradually coming into her senses. And at the end of the first lesson, we may say it like that, in the shelter, she was already smiling and she was already with the greatest mood. So when the air alert starts, she like shifted her mood upside down. And it was really interesting to observe.
Так, Юрічка, а що трапилось, сонечко? Юр, щось я не помітила. Ой, ні, ну. Моя дитиночка, просто вона побачила свого тата. Юр.
Actually, it was a lucky day for us, because they are studying in the shelter constantly, like on a daily basis. But at that day, it was no any alerts. So they were in their class and they had this beautiful lesson about humans, how they different, how they similar. It was so moving and touching to see how these kids thinking about that we all are the same and we all need to be friends to each other, and this humanistic kind of things, and I was really moved by it. That's why we decided to go after this class and to shoot them for a whole day. And one moment the teacher proposed to go to the library, to the media center. And when we come into the library, we see that Yulia starts crying, and teacher starts to comforting her. And then it appeared that there's like a pantheon of these black and white portraits on the wall with different people that already gone, soldiers. And these soldiers are basically people from that village, so they're local, and one of them is the father of Yulia. That's why she was bursting into tears, because she saw her father on the portrait. And we didn't expect it to happen. So it was, for us, a big shock as a filmmakers team. This is a new reality, actually. This is how war affects people in Ukraine, because I don't know anybody who doesn't have any connection to the war. Probably their relatives are at war or already gone, or they volunteering a lot. A lot of people lost their homes, lost loved ones, and we see this plasticity of psychic, you know, how this small girl, she's mourning her father, but she put it all together in 1 or 2 moments, and this is a big symbol of how we're doing. It's like in the moment you're bursting into tears because you remember your loved one. The next moment you're already reading a book because you need to move on and read, like going on with your life. So you need to not to stop living because of the war. You need to continue.
Давай согласимся и загадывай желание. Все, загадывай.
Ех, Мартін, ну дай ще раз тебе привітати. Класно, дуже радий, що з тобою знайомий.
When we came to Kharkiv, we came for another story. We came for this metro story where the school that is opens inside of the metro station. Suddenly we had a half of a day without any shootings, and we came to hotel, and I was really tired and just went to bed like in the middle of the day. And when I was waking up, I like searched through my Instagram, and I had this advertisement that reminded me that here in Kharkiv there is this really finest art studio. I knew about him. I knew about Mykola and about this Azanizimaza studio for a long time. But actually I forgot about it when we were going to Kharkiv. I immediately tell our producer that was together with us on this trip that, Vitya, let's maybe write them and maybe let's go, because we have time, let's go to the studio, let's see what's happening there. And like in one day, we arranged the shooting there, came to their place, and luckily for us, they had this strange looking, very chaotic and messy happy birthday thing of Martin, one of the kids in this studio. And I think sometimes when you do these mosaic structures, it's like, you know, the smile of a documentary god. You go somewhere and something interesting is happening because you're there. Because, you know, when you have a birthday party inside of a basement in Kharkiv that is constantly shelled by missiles, it's something really moving.
Я дуже рада, що ми з вами сьогодні зустрілися. Повітряна тривога нам не завадила провести урок. Тому я
You know how COVID actually were going on all over the world. And for us, ironically, it was a good practice of online education. So a lot of our schools actually could go on with the studying and learning because of this experience of this online education during COVID. And we're looking for such family where the kid or children would be going to school online, and their mother or father would be a teacher in other online school or the same school online as well. So this couple was from Zaporizhia, the mother and her son. They are in different schools, so she's a teacher in one school and he is the student in another one. But yeah, that's basically how they are living on a daily basis. And I feel really, really sorry for this generation that spends their time at home near the computers and not socializing. The knowledge is something that you can actually do at home. You can be at home and you can take these online courses. Right now you can learn everything when you're at home and just have the strong will to do that. But the school gives you another thing. It gives you this psychological safety. It gives you this vision of normality. It gives you this small society inside of this institution where you can be together with others. And what I understand from my own experience during the war is that it's really needed for your sanity. For example, when the full-scale invasion started, it was a mess and everybody were deciding what to do, where to go and how to deal with that. But it was two strong wishes. One of them, it was to be together with your relatives. and people gathered in a big families. We did the same. We went to my mother's house together with the mother of my partner to be all together. And then, maybe 2 weeks into invasion, the second wish was maybe to find some group of people that you can volunteer in terms of the war. So we found this really small wine restaurant in Kyiv that starts to volunteer and to prepare food for territorial defense brigade, for the hospitals, for people that were continue working in Kyiv, although Kyiv was completely empty, there were no people. And it was another good thing, you know, to be together with somebody and to work and to volunteer and to help. So basically the school is something like that as well. It's the place that connects people and the place where you feel safe because you are with others. For example, there's one scene in the film where we see half-ruined school. So one half is completely ruined and it's closed, and another half is working. It's near the Belarusian border, that's why it's not so safe to be there. But when it was already okay to maybe start teaching again, the headmaster of the school, Mykola Shpak, decided that, okay, we're starting, we don't have a big shelter, but we will be going to the lessons on shifts for the school to contain so many people that would be go to the shelter in any case. And in the film, he actually do like a small excursion all around the school with his laptop while he tells the story of the school and how invasion started. And this is the story about one of the workers of the school. She was the only victim of the missile attack that was just in the beginning of the invasion when everybody was just sheltering in school. And it was like 100 people there in school. And she was the only one who got killed because she didn't went down to the shelter. And he's saying something like, although she's living nearby, she came here, and I asked her, why did you came? Like, you need to be at home, it's like safe at home. And she said, yeah, but at home I'm alone, and I want to be around the people.
За добу прийшла людина, уявляєте собі? Я ще кажу, Миколаю, на що ви, кажу, прийшли, тут же ж, стільки людей, так шумно. Ой, а я дома сама, мені страшно, а тут хоч з кимось поспілкуюсь і так далі. І рівно добу пробула, і не стало надії нашої Миколаївни, потім уже.
Because, you know, one person needs another person to be fulfilled, to feel themselves as a part of a whole. You know, it's really strange that sometimes people from abroad think that when the war is going on, it's impossible that, like, why do you even run the school, you know? But for me, it's not strange. I mean, yes, it's interrupted life, obviously, but it's something that is really need to be there as a part of a normal life. And obviously in economic reasons as well. Adult people need to work. So we start in the film with these empty corridors, and we end with them as well. But I really wanted to make them really different, because the first scene, when you enter in the film, you enter in the school, and you start to hear some sounds that sound like a shelling or a missile attack or something like that, like from a distance. We had such experience, actually. It was actually happening to us. In one school, we heard something like an attack from the air, but it was the physical training lessons with these basketball balls. In Ukraine right now, a lot of people, for example, are afraid of thunder right now. And sometimes you're walking in the middle of the night because of the thunder, and you think that it's not a thunder, it's the shelling, or it's the working of defense system, or something like that, you know, and it's happening actually. So this is the same. It's like right now we're confusing some sounds with something really that is full of threat. But in contrast, this end scene, when you already know all the rest, and you in this empty school again, and it's summer, and it's really pleasant weather outdoors, and the school is already over, and you again see the air alarm, but it says that it's not a real one, it's a training, it's a drill.
Увага, зараз звучатиме тренувальна повітряна тривога. Спускатися в укриття не потрібно.
This is, for me, like something that I want to see in the future, because we should preserve this knowledge and to keep practicing them, because you never know what's going to happen. But I really want to make it, for it to be a practice, not a real thing that you actually need. I think that every film that comes from Ukraine right now has one big aim. It's to tell the story that we're living through. It's about the ability to feel how we're feeling it, the ability to feel this reality, because you can read news, you can watch even the news, you can watch how the front looks like, you can maybe see some interview with some soldiers or some people from Ukraine, but it's another thing when you see the documentary film, like this reality that is already archived in our film, structured as this mosaic. It's, you know, like a maybe physical feeling of how it is. You see these colors, you see this weather, you hear the wind, you hear the birds singing, for example, you hear the siren of air alert, you remember how it is to be sitting in the classroom. And I think this is the best way for people to know why it's important for us, because we seek help right now. Because Ukraine right now is like a forepost between Russia and, Russia, the war, and Europe. So basically we're like in the middle of it, and we really need help and support. There's something really simple in just showing how people live in that. Yes, we know how they're fighting, but I really want to show them how they live. And that we have the hope and then belief that it will all be ending as soon as possible for people to stay alive, and but fair for us. It should be fair. That's why we need to raise the voice. That's why we need to tell the story, and that's why every documentary film that you will be watching during all these years are doing the same job. It's for audience to feel and to maybe more understand on this emotional level how we are dealing with it. Yeah.